If you're a Star Trek fan and you want to get your kids into Star Trek, you seriously need to be watching Star Trek Prodigy. The show has been precision engineered to deliver all the things that make Trek satisfying. Wormholes, planets that mess with your head, holodeck hijinks, timey-wimey shenanigans, convoluted Treknobabble.
If we use the transporter's Heisenberg compensators to remodulate the shields, it would allow our ship to collapse the superimposed wave function.
Simplified restatements of convoluted Treknobabble.
Pull the planet out of its hiding spot.
The Kobayashi Maru test. And beings of
pure energy.
The difference is that instead of Starfleet's best and brightest, the show follows a group of young non-human characters fleeing enslavement, who stumble across a powerful experimental starship. Most of them have never even heard of Starfleet, but they have one hell of a mentor to show them the ropes.
I am Hologram Janeway.
Centering on this group is what sets the show apart. The ideals of this utopian future aren't just assumed, we're shown why they're worth aspiring to, as an alternative to a pretty dystopian present. Even tropes that we take for granted become plot points.
I don't know what that means.
They can't even talk to each other until they find Starfleet comm badges and the Universal Translator kicks in.
What if this pain in your tail butt told you there's a way off this rock?
Oh, whoa! You understand, Jankom Pog?
They're characters on a journey together. The real stars were the friends we made along the trek. And fittingly, this unique take on Star Trek has a unique take on its credits, which is why I'm calling this one Credits Where Credit is Due. Before we get into it, I would love to be able to start this video by running the Prodigy opening in its entirety before I talk you through it. But you may have heard how aggressively Paramount safeguards their IP, and this video would get demonetized with a quickness. So I recommend that you take a moment, go to where Prodigy is streaming, or watch one of the many versions of the opening here on YouTube. And while you're down there, why not hit those buttons to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So, I'm not a skip credits guy. As an editor and motion designer by trade, I enjoy a good credit sequence to set the mood for the show. Sometimes they're abstract. Sometimes they're straightforward. The best ones function as their own entity, as iconic as the show they represent. Ever since the TOS era, the template for every Star Trek credit sequence has been hero shots of whichever extension of Starfleet the show is about, and the cool stuff it encounters out there on the final frontier. One of my favorite things is how for the theme from the animated series from 1973, it just sounds like they took the original theme and turned the sheet music upside down. Check it out. Here's the original theme by Alexander Courage. And here's the animated theme by Yvette Blaze and Jeff Michael. On a side note, the classic Enterprise is my #1 with a bullet starship design in all of sci-fi, which makes the credits for Strange New Worlds euphorically satisfying. So as we go through the Prodigy opening, I'll be avoiding spoilers beyond the basic premise of the show, because if you haven't seen it, I really want you to watch it and I don't want to spoil it. The theme music is by Michael Giacchino, who also scored the Kelvin Timeline Trek movies. Since, again, I can't really play the music, I'm going to be talking you through it, which is going to be interesting because I don't know jack all about music, and I am definitely going to get some terminology wrong. So if you do know music, set me straight down in the comments. Star Trek Prodigy centers on an advanced starship with an experimental proto-warp drive, which means it can go just a little more boldly than usual. It comes bursting out of warp in the middle of a vast star field, and really hits the ground running. It even leaves these cool light trails, so you can see how fast it's going. Unlike the loving close-ups of Strange New Worlds, Prodigy mostly keeps the ship at a distance to really drive home that space is big. Really big. You may think it's a long way down the street to the chemist, but that's just peanuts to space. For this introductory section, the music is more subdued. When the melody does kick in, this part is what I'll call the B melody. It's not the main melody, it's kind of a prelude, the intro before the first verse. Prodigy really distinguishes itself by embracing yet another of my favorite visuals: giant space heads. The more it looks like the cover of a prog rock album, the better. The ship flies over a rocky surface until it encounters a sheer mountain face. It flies up the side, and we realize that what we're actually seeing is Roktok. And again, her face is framed to look monumentally huge, especially compared to the size of the protostar. From there, the ship continues upward, from the desert orange of Roktok into calming blue clouds. And this is where the music transitions into the A melody. It's really what could be considered the main melody of the theme. It's the oh, or the dun 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 dun, or the it's been a long road. This time they don't just encounter a head. It's a giant eye in space watching them. The irises of the eye become the rings of a planet, with the protostar still zipping along past this strange new world. As they come around the horizon, the surface looks different. It's not a planet, it's Zero in their cobbled together containment suit. And seriously, I think it's wild that this is a show where one of the central characters is a genderless space cloud who will break your brain if you look at them directly. Naturally, the protostar flies right in. As it does, the music shifts to the C melody. It's lighter and more playful, more like the bridge of a pop song. The protostar goes bouncing through a field of wibbly boba balls in space, which can only mean our favorite space slime, Murph. We don't even need to see his face, because his perfect self is an infinitely flexible blob of space slime, and we love him for it. And this is where the music actually goes into a D melody. If the C melody brought the urgency down, the D melody builds it back up. What looks like random space debris starts to swirl around the ship, forming a tunnel. And when they come out, we switch it up in an appropriate way. Instead of a space head, we get Jankom Pog's very useful mechanical hand. We go back to the A melody with a little more oomph to it, as the protostar flies up through a golden cascade representing Gwyndala and her telepathic abilities. Gwyndala doesn't have telepathic abilities. She just doesn't. I don't know where I got that from. I'm sorry. Behind her is a golden sun that quickly turns red, to remind us of the danger that where Gwyn goes, the Dreadnought will be in pursuit. But at the same time, something new appears. A road through space like a really bitchin' Mario Kart level. Then you realize it's made of the most Star Trek thing there is. Starship console interfaces. Good old LCARs. This road leads Protostar further into deep space. And we go back to the lighter C melody as the interfaces start to take human form, with a familiar Starfleet comm badge as the one solid object among the virtuality. And then, Admiral on the bridge. It's Kate Mulgrew, the first of many Star Trek alumni involved in this. The Protostar even does a happy little barrel roll before it puts on a burst of speed. Back to the D melody, that dramatic buildup. There's a nice bit of visual metaphor that after encountering Janeway, the LCARS road and the streaks from the Protostar are aligned. Soon, even the road disappears, and the Protostar hurtles toward a gap in the swirling cloud. As the cloud spaghettifies into warp trails, the Protostar suddenly whips out a whole nother warp nacelle. And that is when I suddenly wondered, we've seen Rock, Zero, Murph, Jankom, Gwyn, Janeway, and Dreadnought. What about, Dal-Rel, our main protagonist? Let me cook. Where was I? Oh yeah. go fast. As the very fabric of space warps around it, the protostar locks S-foils in attack position. The ship becomes larger and larger as it gets closer. After being a small object flying past giant space heads this whole time, it now dominates the frame. We're still on the D melody, which is really building to a climax. And suddenly we get our first close-up of the familiar shape of a starship's forward section, complete with the name and registry number rendered in the Starfleet regulation microgramma extended. Again, the most Star Trek thing that ever Star Trekked. And with that change in perspective is a change in the music. It's the B melody, but it's got main melody energy. There's bells. It looks like the universe is pouring molten gold down the warp stream, but the protostar cuts through it like the space knife. We go back out to a wide shot, and you may start to see a bit of symbolism. Then it's back onto the protostar, confidently pushing its way upstream. And even wider as the protostar picks up speed, and also a good place to integrate the episode title and credits. And then, with a final blast of the orchestra, the protostar finally makes the jump to hyperspace. As the warp dust clears, we pull back through colorful clouds in space. And that last note is followed by 3 more. And I should be able to get away with playing just this bit. It's 4 familiar notes that go back to the very beginning of Star Trek.
Space, the final frontier.
To let us know that this will be a very Star Trek-y Star Trek. There's a last orchestral flourish as we go into the title screen. And this is a nicely designed screen. Once again, the 60s classic logo kind of reassures Trekkies that they plan to respect their Star Trek. If you look at the Prodigy title, you can see the characters reflected in the metallic surface. It's a good way to keep them and their adventures front and center. And the Nickelodeon logo, I assume, is a legal requirement. And so let's go back to that question. Where has Dal been through all this? We've been watching him all along. Dal's journey, and again, this is really established in the first few episodes, is closely tied with Starfleet. The protostar is his escape from enslavement. And after the traumas of his past, the ship and the Starfleet it represents is belonging and purpose and a set of ideals to help him unlearn the bad lessons he's been taught. The way the protostar encounters and interacts with these other characters in Dal's found family. Jankom is the fixer, Gwyn is the star in his sky, and especially that barrel roll for Janeway, who is probably the first positive maternal figure he's ever had. And with this found family aboard the protostar, they take off together. They may not be humans, but for them, the human adventure is just beginning. These credits are 1.5 minutes of classic Star Trek from a new perspective. Just like the show, it's a perfect introduction for new fans to watch with their parents, who will enjoy it on a whole nother level. Just be prepared to explain why you laughed when that character showed up. One of the reasons I wanted to spotlight Prodigy like this is because its future is not assured. In 2019, Nickelodeon ordered 2 seasons. For the first season, episodes would drop on Paramount Plus and air on Nick the next day. The first season ran in 2021 and 2022, and the plan was for season 2 to premiere in 2023. Then Paramount canceled the show. Then they removed it from Paramount Plus, because, well, that's just how animation is treated these days. I think I jinxed it when I said this. I believe we're in one of the best periods, if not the best period, for cartoons in the history of the medium. But the second season was already in production as per the original order. So, as is so often the case, Netflix swooped in. They added the first season last October, and all 20 episodes of season 2 dropped this July. Beyond that, though, nothing has been announced. We do know that virtually everyone involved is up for more, whether it's in the form of more seasons or even movies. The head of Nickelodeon talked about watching a screening of the pilot at Comic-Con and wishing they had released it theatrically. And creators Kevin and Dan Hageman are excited for more. Kevin Hageman says,
"Whether it's an animated film, a sequel, or if it's a third season, I know everyone who can would love to come back."
Writer and co-executive producer Aaron J. Waltke has no shortage of ideas. He says,
"I have a note on my phone's notepad. I have a whole docket that's about 7 pages long of Star Trek Prodigy ideas."
And finally, the word from the Admiral herself.
"It's just the beginning of this adventure. We have to get this thing optioned for a third season and a fourth and a fifth and on, because I think it's going to be a trip they will never forget."
All of which, yes. Yes to more Prodigy. Yes to more animated Star Trek. Yes to more Star Trek movies. If that's a yes from you, the best thing you can do is go watch it. Tell your friends to watch it. Make sure Paramount, Netflix, whoever is in charge of ordering more, see that there is support. The best part of animated Star Trek is the larger canvas animation provides. The strange new worlds can be a little bit stranger. The characters don't all have to be humans, or humans with prosthetics. They can be Brickar, or space slime, or beings of
Pure energy.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you've seen Prodigy, let's get spoilery.
It's worked so far, but we're not out yet.